Hello. I hope you enjoyed the last segment that we talked about the COVID-19 genocide of 2020 by Claire Edwards. We talked about the advent of COVID, the fact that COVID was not just something that happened, it's been planned, there's been exercises, it was developed in a lab, it was funded by numerous organizations to include our government. We have pictures of Obama and Fauci over at the Wuhan lab. So you have to wonder how much of this was just coincidence, and indeed did China just unleash it on us at a certain time, or was it a well-coordinated effort to have the impact on the world which it has had? And I think that's the case. What's really interesting now is the fact that just as of this week, Fauci and others in the medical field that work for the government have come forward and said, hey, listen, we were wrong. We knew that children and students, that age group, were not really susceptible to the COVID virus, but instead we still closed down schools and told you to have them go home and do their learning through online and distance education programs. Now they've come back and said, well, that was a mistake. We really didn't have to do that. But it's been 6 months. Students have been home. They've been now indoctrinated into using electronics and using distance learning, and that was a concerted effort, and it had a complete tie to what's coming up next, which is the advent of 5G. The other thing that happened today, as a matter of fact, was the fact that the World Health Organization said, hey, not only now do we believe that masks don't help, but social distancing doesn't help, and we're not even sure you can spread the virus from one person to another. So they're just figuring this out. It's been 9 months. We've had economies locked down. We've had businesses impacted and closed due to the lack of ability to have customers. We've had all this social distancing and impact on people's lives that had caused loneliness, trauma. We've had suicides. So now they're coming back and saying, well, maybe we were wrong. Well, maybe they were wrong to try to enact all those regulations and mandates to start with, and yet we still have governors that are put them in force and threatening to put people in jail if they don't follow them. So what's wrong with this picture? The last thing I kind of like to talk about today is the fact that, there's a big concern that, oh look, COVID's going up. And I addressed this once before. It's not all about COVID cases going up, the numbers increasing. Indeed, they are increasing. That's indisputable. But why are they increasing? Well, they're probably increasing because we're also testing more. We're using a PCR test, which was never designed to test for COVID, and it still isn't. And it isn't really even reliable. The accuracy rate is way down, and it also will come up positive for things like inflammation and other disorders in your body that would trigger off a positive result from this test. So it can't be trusted, but it shows an increase in number of COVID viruses. And what we really have found is that this doesn't really mean a whole lot, because that's not what the marker should be to see whether we're having problems. The marker should be, are we having a massive increase in deaths over previous years? Most of the states have quit they've really quit even tracking the flu, but between 2017 and 2018, there was 177,000 plus deaths due to flu-related illnesses. Now you're not even counting for them, and we're only up at 220 for what they call COVID. So that's pretty suspect there. Are they dying from COVID or other things? Here in Colorado, we've actually had numerous cases, and we took it in front of the courts that showed that people on their death certificate were being listed as COVID deaths, even when the coroner knew that the cause of death was something else. One young man here literally drank himself to death, and they had him dying from COVID. That went to a court case and a criminal case against the whole coroner's division, and it was thrown out. And when it got up to the legal, went through the legal process. And you went, well, if it was substantiated, the fact that they were falsifying death certificates, which is a criminal charge, then why did the courts throw them out? Well, people, you got to understand something about the legal system. District judges are elected. They're elected officials. Yes, they hold a degree, but they're elected officials. which means they usually have a party affiliation. And when district judges are elected and have a party affiliation, then what do you think they're going to do to protect their jobs? You think they're going to rule against the party that's put them in there and make sure they get a paycheck? And those district judges then get nominated by, oh, guess what? The governor. And the governor nominates them to the state Supreme Court. And then they get, ratified and they're put in. Once again, politically bound, politically tied. So your legal system, once it gets above your small local judges, is subject to being corrupted by political affiliations. So when you bring a lawsuit showing that people are falsifying death certificates, showing people are dying from COVID, they get thrown out. And that's what happened here in Colorado and in numerous other states, I'm sure. My cousin said it's happened in Oregon. I know it's happened in Washington State. So you really can't trust the numbers. And indeed, people, now we know that masks don't work, social distancing doesn't work, children should be in school, you should open up businesses and get on with your life. So the next time we get together, we're gonna talk about 5G. I kind of promised talking about that today, but literally the rest of the story on COVID has continued to unfold, and I thought it was important that you got an up-to-date report on it. So thanks for joining me, and we will see you next time.